What's going on, guys? It's your boy Tim Billions, and this is my newest video on my YouTube channel. And I'd like to welcome everybody. And today I got a very special guest. I got one of my students in here, man, who's killing the game right now. And I had to make him find some time for me, man, to sit down and let's have a discussion, man. It's been a long time since I saw him. You know, we do a lot of phone conversations, but it's actually been a long time since I've seen him face to face. So, you know, I just wanted to get his story because it's definitely a hell of a story, how we met, how we got into this real estate thing, how we ended up in business together. So we're going to talk about all of that. And I got my boy here, Brandon Hunter.
Yes,
man, listen, appreciate you doing this for me, man.
No problem, no
How
problem.
you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Life is good.
Okay, man. So, you know, for anybody who's been following my story, you know, y'all probably know by now I did a decade in prison. Brandon Hill was one of my roommates while we were in prison. You know, we're not gonna touch too much of why we were in prison, nothing like that, but everybody make mistakes. And we both have learned from our mistakes, grown from our mistakes, and have both used our mistakes to propel ourselves to greater things. So, you know, we met in prison. 2015, 2016,
2015.
Right? 2015. Okay, we met in prison. You actually came home a little bit before me, about a year before I did. So he came home before me. I came home about a year later, and you know, jumped into this real estate thing about 5 months after that. It actually took me 11 months to close my first deal, you know, to do my first flip. And Brandon was the person who actually sent me the address to the first house I ever flipped. So I know I probably said thank you, but thank you again.
No problem.
Thank you again for that. But you know, we live 4 hours away from each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the time I was posting on Facebook every day. You guys send me addresses to vacant houses, and I'll send you $500 if I buy the house. So he sent me an address to a vacant house, a couple of them, but this one in particular, I got in contact with the owner. And the owner wanted to sell the house, and you know, I made it happen. You know, I don't know if I ever told you this, right? But crazy story, because I was broke when that happened, right?
Yeah.
I had a separate phone just for real estate, where I had let the phone cut off. Like I ain't had no money to pay the bill.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get in contact with the guy. I couldn't get him on the phone. So I wrote him a letter, right? He had been trying to call me back to tell me, yeah, I want to sell the house. But my phone was off.
Oh, man.
Man, my man ended up writing me back a letter.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm trying to sell the house. I got your letter, I want to sell. I tried to call you with the phone. I'm like, oh my God, I got this. I called dude, and I had my other phone, personal phone. And
Yeah.
I called him off that phone, and, you know, made the deal happen.
All right.
But yeah, so Brandon is responsible for sending me the address for the first house I ever flipped. Definitely still grateful to this day for that, because that was almost a year of struggling to make it happen, and it finally paid off. And made $10,000 from the house, paid him a referral fee for sending me the address, and you know, started rolling with it. So a couple years later, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years later, he calls me one day, and yeah, got into a tough situation.
I got laid off from my job.
Got laid off from your job, kind of going through a hard situation, which we all have been through tough situations before. That's another thing that can propel a lot of us to greatness, is tough situations. I always tell people, man, like, hard times can be your biggest blessing sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and as he was going through this time, he reached out to me. And he reached out to me, and he was like, bro, listen, you know, he told me what the situation was about the job and, you know, kind of the struggles. And he was like, bro, I don't want to borrow no money. Just please teach me what you're doing, right? I'm wholesaling real estate, you know, flipping houses with no cash or credit. So I taught him the whole game, everything he needed, you know to go ahead and get started and to do what he needed to do. And he went out and took action.
He taught me in 2 hours on FaceTime too. I don't know if you remember that.
Wow.
It was on FaceTime. I had to call, you know, after that, you know,
Ask
little questions here and there. But yeah, about 2 hours on FaceTime
to give you the initial breakdown.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I taught him, and he took it, ran with it. I know you said it took about 2 months. We were talking before we went on. It took about 2 months to do the first one.
It took me like 5 weeks to get my first house, and then within 4 months, I flipped like 2 or 3 more.
So, yeah, because I remember, in 4 months it was 3. In 4 months,
it was like 3 houses in 4 months.
Wow.
And I think $5,000 was the least that I made. That was for my first flip. $5,000 was the least I made on all of them.
All right, wait, hold on. We're gonna talk about that first one in a second. But I just, I just want you to see that this can be a life-changing business. It definitely was life-changing for me. It sounded like it was life-changing for you.
Definitely life-changing.
Both of us coming from where we came from, the streets, prison, to being where we at now, man. It's been a hell of a journey. So, like I said again, man, I just want to thank you for doing this for me, bro. I really appreciate that. So my first question is, man, like, what were you doing before you got into real estate?
Anything a convicted felon can do. Man, I had a lot of like construction jobs. I was concrete, asphalt. Hard labor.
Right.
Cold in the winter, hot in the summer. Landscaping, just anything I could to, make $1 the legal way.
Because this is after prison.
Yeah,
you came home. You said in 2000.
I came home in 2016. Yeah.
So this is life of a convicted felon, right?
Yeah.
Hard to get jobs. You don't want to go back to doing what you did before, put you in prison. So it's like, what do I do?
Right.
And it was just from what it sounded like, just taking a bunch of odd jobs, doing this, doing that.
Okay. Make ends meet.
All right. How was that? Was that working for you? Was you enjoying it? Or
just living check to check. It was a struggle, man. Just, being able to just telling my kids, like, okay, you gotta wait on this. You can't get this right now. We gotta, we got a budget. We gotta do this. We gotta do that,
Right.
Just, it was a struggle, man.
Wow.
Definitely a struggle.
Trust me, I understand totally. So what made you decide I want to get into real estate?
You, for sure. Just seeing you, like posting,
Facebook, because I was doing a lot of social media stuff.
On social media, just posting every day, and I'm just like, I had never had a dream other than what I was doing to get me in prison. I never had no dream job, but I was like, you know what, man, like if Tim can do it and he done did 10 years, let me see if I can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because anything better than this, right? Anything better than this.
Okay. So what was that moment that made you say, you know what, I'm gonna reach out to Tim to see if he can, just see what's going on with this? Like, what made you just make the call? Because we already were cool, and whatever. So you have my number already and all this.
Yeah, it's just, for one, like I told you, when I gave you my information in prison, you actually reached out to me when you got out.
Right.
I just, that already told me the kind of person that you were. So I was just like,
my word.
You know what I'm saying? He's a man of his word. He doing this. Let me see if he can bring me into the fold and teach me how to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want no handouts, but if he can give me the information to better my life, let me reach out to him. Worst he can say is no.
Right. And I hope you guys heard that. Like, the man said he called me and he wasn't looking for a handout, because you weren't. Like, when you called me, you specifically said, bro, like, I don't want to borrow no money. You know what I mean? I don't want to borrow no money, because, of course, I get that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for you to say that, I don't want to borrow no money, I'd rather you just teach me what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a I don't know if it came out of the Bible, but it's a parable where you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
Yeah, so.
You see what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important. Like, you can be having conversations with people and not realizing that they could be giving you life-changing game, life-altering information, but we don't realize what this person is saying. You know what I mean? Or we don't apply what the person is saying.
Right.
He is someone who actually took what he learned and applied it. So I know you said within the first 4 months, you did the first 4 months of learning, you did flip 3 houses.
Yeah.
Without using cash or credit, or using very minimal, because sometimes we use like $10.
No, I think the most I ever used was on one of the flips I had in Georgia. I had to put down $100.
Put down $100.
Yeah, I put down $100 for a down payment. And other than that, it's been like $10 here, $20 there, something like that.
Okay. So let's talk about the first deal.
Okay.
Right? Tell me how you found it, what happened. Like, talk to me.
Man, I got off. I did 12 hours. This was like during the summertime, so it was a lot more daylight. You know what I'm saying, at that time. So I got off at like 7. I didn't even take my work clothes off. I was riding around. I was like, I'm gonna go to Gaffney. I was living in Gaffney at the time. I was like, I'm riding around Gaffney. So I rode around for like 30 minutes every day. You know, when I got off work, I just rode around for like 30 minutes every day.
When you found this one, this is about 2 months after I taught you, right?
Nah, it was like
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Yeah.
So by this time, you done found another little job or something.
Yeah, I had found a job. I found another job, you know, make ends meet at the time or whatever, but it wasn't paying nothing. That's why I was like, you know, 30 minutes every day to make my life better in the end. You know, I'm a sacrifice day. You know, I'm tired after 12 hours.
So you went riding around for 30 minutes every day?
Every day.
So just 30 minutes a day, just to strictly drive around looking for vacant houses? Just
vacant houses, because I mean, that's all the daylight I had, you know, once I got off. Yeah, that's all the daylight I had. I got off at 7.
Hold on, right? Are y'all hearing this, man? I really need y'all to hear what this man is saying. Because to be honest, 30 minutes a day is not a lot to drive around looking for vacant houses. But the man said that's the only time he had, the only daylight he had. And he took advantage of that. But go ahead, right? I had to make sure they heard that.
So, I mean, during that time, like I said, I was riding around and I was calling, and a lot of them was dead ends, but the first one I ended up finding, I actually found it within my like 3rd week actually riding around. I found it my 3rd week. It took her like a week to get back with me. She was living in California at the time.
So were you able to find a phone number, or you had to write it?
I found a phone number on fastpeoplesearch.com. Okay. Found a phone number and I left her a voicemail.
Free website.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she ended up getting back in touch with me, and she was like, I've been trying to get rid of that house for years. I bought it in a tax sale years ago. Finally got the clean title to it. I want to sell it. Just give me $1,000.
$1,000?
Yeah, she told me to give her $1,000. The windows was busted out. Didn't have no doors on it.
I do remember.
Yeah, remember the one he was like, bro. he was like, bro, I don't know, bro. He was like, that look like it needed just too far gone. But it was crazy though, because you told me, he was like, it's gonna be a tear down, bro. It was like, you know, somebody would tear that down or whatever, and that's what ended up happening.
Because if I'm not mistaken, they had like an acre of land or something like that.
It had an acre of land to it, so she wanted $1,000 for it. So I put it on Facebook. I ended up putting it on Craigslist. I think Craigslist.
So you put it on the contract for $1,000.
Yeah.
Did you put up any money out your pocket?
No. Oh yeah, $10.
You put up $10.
Yeah, I put up $10.
Money deposit.
I cashed after $10. Yeah.
Okay.
So I cashed out for $10. I had it in the contract for $1,000, and I put it on Craigslist and Facebook. I forget which one the buyer came from, but he was like, "The house is terrible, but yeah, I'll give you the $6,000 for it." He was like, "I'm gonna tear it down. I'm gonna build something else. I'm gonna just use it for the land."
So did you put it out for $6,000, or did he?
No, I put it out for $6,000 because it was, with everything, it was worth like $23,000. But I was like, it's got to be at least worth half of that because the house is going to be a tear down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really just basing the value off of the land that's on it. Right. So acre land at the time, 7,000, 8,000, something like that. It was like, I'll put it out for $6,000. So he was like, bring me the contract. I done went by and looked at it. So I went, took him, and I took him the contract, and he gave me a $2,500 earnest money deposit and a cashier's check to take to the lawyer. So I took that to the lawyer, and I think she was like, the reason why it took 5 weeks is because she said that she wouldn't be able to come from California to them. So 2 weeks, and then the title search was done like in a week or so or something like that. She came down here, we did the closing, and made $5,000.
So talk about that day right there. Talk about
quit my job. Same day.
Yeah.
Same day. Quit my job. I quit because
$5,000.
My people, Mima, if you see this, I'm sorry, but my Mima especially, she was just like, "You crazy if you quit." She was like, "You crazy," but I told her, I was like, it ain't the fact that I made a whole lot of money doing it, at the time, and that's the reason why I quit. It was because at first it was it's too good to be true type of business, but once you put in the work and see it come into fruition and see you actually get that $5,000 check in your face, all right, this is what I want to do.
And see, that's why I asked you, like, how did it feel? Because that day right there, now it's real. I did it. I can do it.
Motivated.
I already know.
Motivated.
It ain't just him doing it.
Yeah.
I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah, you know, that's what I tell the people I teach now. Like, I can give you the game, but you got to put in the work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like I say, like I tell you all the time, I call you out the blue and be like, bro, I appreciate you so much, just because, you know, when I first started, you know, I was calling you and I was like, hey, well, what I do about this, or what if it's this? And I mean, every time you pick up the phone and just be like, okay, well, this is what you need to do in this situation. I mean, just walking me through it. And that's why I tell people, like, in this business, especially if you just learning, it's important to have a good mentor.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Because that's why it took me 11 months, bro, because I ain't have nobody.
Yeah.
I was YouTubing every day, 5-6 hours. Like, now, bro, I won't start no business without having some type of coach or course or some type of, like, listen, that is the shortcut. Having some type of coach or, like, mentor or something, like, yeah, you can Google this, you can YouTube this, you can figure it out on your own, of course. But why? Why would you try to figure it out on your own? Like, when you can just pay somebody or bring value to them some type of way, and then they give you the game. That's the shortcut. That person may, for whatever they charge you or for whatever value you brought to them, they may have saved you 2-3 years of trying to figure this thing out.
Sure.
If I would have had somebody, I could have, it took me 11 months. You got your first one done within 2 months.
Yeah.
So me not having a coach took 11 months. Him having a coach, it took 2.
Yeah.
So that just shows you the difference. And I wanted to touch on something you said too earlier. You said something about Mima. That's your grandmother?
My aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, my aunt.
And she said you crazy for quitting the job,
Crazy.
right?
She was like, man, you need to have something secure. You need to, you know, stay on your job until, you know, it pick up a little bit. But I was like, you know, I've never had a job. Before 2016,
Before you came home.
Before I came home, I never had a job. So,
you
know what I'm saying? So I was like, it was new to me, and I had fell into a depression. I hated waking up early in the morning. I hated it. I hated waking up, going to work for people, and, you know, oh, you got to do this, or you go to lunch then, and I hated it. So
you never told me this.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's just, you know, but. Man, once I seen that $5,000 check, and I wasn't even making $5,000 a month at this place that I worked 50, 60 hours a week, it was a no-brainer for me.
And you know, because I wanted to say, like, everybody not gonna understand the vision. Yeah. Like, so Mima, we love her, like, love her to death.
I love you to death, Mima.
we love you, but it was his vision. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, nobody else is not gonna see that. Yeah. You know, maybe somebody else will understand if you tell them maybe, but they didn't get the vision. You got the vision. Right. So it was for you to see. It wasn't for her to see. It wasn't for her to understand. Mm-hmm. We love her to death, but it was the same way with me. Yeah. I had people I love who love me. Mm-hmm. They were telling me don't do it, it ain't gonna work. It took me almost a year. Yeah. So, you know. But speaking of taking me a year, like, we can talk about getting to the money. We can talk about you flipped 3 houses in your first 4 months, and you had no experience doing this at all before. No. So your first 4 months, you got 3 houses flipped. You get into the money, picking up big checks, and all that's cool. But I know it was some struggle somewhere within that. Talk to me about the struggle. I don't want the people to think it's just all sweet. Oh yeah, we flipping houses, no cash, no credit. It's just easy. We just dancing around, having fun. It definitely ain't that.
Man,
so
I mean, it's
talk
just,
to me about that.
Man, it's a lot of struggles with, you know, basically just dealing with these owners of these houses and dealing with buyers. You know, you got a lot of people that are trustworthy people and a lot of people that ain't. You know, I've had sellers back out on me plenty of times. You know, even with, you know, getting the house under contract. It's part of the game, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can take them to court, but that's going to take years and years and cost me more money than I would have made anyway.
Move on to more deals.
Move on. So I done had buyers back out on me. I've had sellers back out on me. I mean, it's just...
Some months it can get slow where you might do 3 houses 1 month, and 1 month, next month, no house. So, you know, some months it can get dry. Like, so
I did like 4 houses back to back, and then after that, it was like in the middle of COVID. I went like 4 months without flipping 1 house.
I went through something like that one time before too.
I went like 4 months without flipping 1 house.
And it came right after a great stretch. Like, I had a nice run.
Yeah.
And then I went on a little, about 3-4 month stretch where everything, like I had like 5-6 houses in a row fall apart. Yeah. So I definitely understand, man.
Yeah, that's a big struggle, just not being able to always find good deals. And, you know, sometimes you'll get stuck And this is one thing that you would always tell me, like, you know, bro, like, don't focus on that one house.
Right.
You know,
right.
once you get it under contract or whether you don't, if you've made the initial contact, move on and keep working. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I always tell my students, never fall in love with a house.
Yeah.
Like, keep, be dating. That's what I like to say. Be dating keep several homeowners on the line. Yeah, this one want to sell, this one want to sell. Because you can get so tied up, you can get 1 year and get so focused on dealing with him that you're not focusing on keeping other leads coming. So if something with this particular house falls apart, now you're sitting there sad, like, man, because you don't have nothing else waiting in the chamber for you to move on to.
Exactly.
So how do you stay disciplined and committed during them days when you just like it's the rough days? What keeps you going through it?
Man, thinking about being out in this heat, working construction, or in the wintertime.
Listen, I'm sorry to laugh. I don't want to laugh at anybody that work construction. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's rough.
It's
though.
99 degrees out here today. So
It's rough, and I know why you laughing because you was just sweating coming in, walking out there.
That's why I said that. It's 99 out here today.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's rough out there, but. And some
you said you
people,
were doing 12 hours.
12 hours, man, doing asphalt, because, doing highway asphalt, you got to do it at certain times, you know what I'm saying, like on third shift, and sometimes they switch you got to swing shift, so, and then once you put the asphalt down, you got to get it done, you can't quit, so 12, 13, I think I've worked like 19 hours, and they was, oh, we're going to pay y'all double time, like that matter. Like I worked 19 hours before, almost a whole day. They bring you food out there and, make...
They bring you food and all?
Yeah, food and all, yeah. Yeah, they don't want you to... Yeah, they damn sure know. They don't want you to leave, man.
Wow.
And just thinking about times like that and all the time. But one time in particular, man, my daughter, she had, I think it was donuts for dads or something like that at school. And she was just like, man, you gotta come, Dad. You gotta come. And I was telling my boss, I was like, listen, I need to go here, and then I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna clock back in. He was like, I can't let you do it. He was like, we all miss our families, and we all do this, and but I can't let you do it. He was like, if you don't show up, and I said, no call, no show, we're gonna have to fire you. So I had to choose going into work over my daughter.
So you chose to fire your job?
Yeah. Chose to fire their ass. First chance I got.
Yeah. That's how I like to work.
I didn't even call him.
Yeah, you fired the job.
I didn't even call him. I just stopped showing up.
Yeah.
I thought it was something.
Okay, so that's a nice way to segue into what I'm about to ask you next, because you went ahead and started your own company.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do, I teach people how to do this, and they'll flip a house or two or whatever. But you actually say, well, I want to do this as a business.
Right.
Right. So what was the idea, or what made you want to go ahead and do this, full time, take this thing serious?
I mean, just seeing where it was going, the direction it was going, I was just like, this is something that I can scale a whole lot of money on this, you know what I'm saying, and come up with an end plan. I came up with a 10-year plan involving, rentals that'll pay me forever after I'm done, wholesaling or whatever, and then get into the flipping business or whatever, and turn that into rentals and all of that. So I was like, I sat down and I came up with that plan, and I was like, okay, well, I need to LLC this thing and take it serious. So
make sure you have a plan. Like, it's so many people be focused on just the money. Having the plan is more important than having the money, because if you have a solid plan, you will attract the money, whether it's investors or just some type of resources that you run across. Having a solid plan will get you the money you need.
Sure.
All right. So okay, you started as a business. You're still flipping, and now you coaching people.
Yeah.
So now you teaching people. So talk to me about that. What was what made you want to decide to teach people?
Actually, the stretch that I had during COVID, the stretch that I had without flipping houses during COVID, I was like, I've done this successfully time after time after time. I know the recipe for it.
I'm pretty sure other people already been asking you questions because social media.
Yeah. So they was, they was like, but at the time I was like, nah, I'm not, I ain't teaching no class right now, whatever. But one day I was just sitting there. Actually, I went to YouTube and I seen somebody. I was like, they putting all this free information on YouTube. I wonder if people will buy it. So I was just like, everybody was like, they have always heard of flipping houses, but everybody always thought of, you gotta have a whole lot of money and you gotta have good credit to flip houses. You don't.
Don't you don't.
You don't. You can wholesale. That's what I had explained to them. Like flipping is different than wholesaling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So after I, did some more research on YouTube, because even after you taught me, like we have our phone conversations. One thing that was always constant with you was like, bro, I don't never stop learning. I don't never stop learning. He was like, I read this, and he is sending me YouTube. I'm like, goddamn, Tim read it. He on this YouTube channel. Let me get on here and see see what he learned this week. Earn Your Leisure.
I was sending you videos.
You were sending me videos. I used to watch a podcast or listen to a podcast, Bigger Pockets, things like that. So I was like, I'm gonna just start teaching people. So I started off, small, just teaching people for $125, and it got deep.
Did people realize the information you were giving them for $125?
I didn't realize the information I was giving them for $125.
So you definitely ain't charging $125.
Definitely not $125 anymore. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
To be honest, like I noticed that you have to charge because when you try to, don't get me wrong, we want to help as many people as possible.
For sure.
That's always a goal. But what I've noticed is when you don't charge, the people don't really do the work.
Hey, exactly.
You give it to them free or for $125, they're like, okay, well, I ain't paid nothing for it. I ain't gonna do it.
People the things they pay for, they take care of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You charge them.
It
works out for. Don't just think we just want to charge you. Like it works out for you too, because if I charge you a lot of money, it's gonna motivate you to really do the work because you paid a lot of money, and then guess what you get? Results. You know what I mean? You're gonna get results because you're really taking action because you're like, well, I paid Tim this money. Let me really put in this work.
Exactly.
And then you're gonna get your first house flip, and it's gonna you can 10x your money, your investment.
And I don't think they understand, but even now, what I charge, I don't think they understand that I'm giving them $1 billion worth of game for this much. If you do what I tell you to do and apply it, this is how much, the sky's the limit with this. You know what I'm saying? People always need somewhere to live.
Always.
They always need land to build houses on.
Always.
I don't think they understand it, but
that's why real estate is the one business that can't go anywhere.
Exactly.
Other businesses can and do go, can disappear and just be obsolete.
Right.
But with real estate, like you just said, regardless of whatever happens, what business comes and goes, you will always need a place to stay. All of us will always need a place to stay. And land is a limited resource because they can't make any more.
Right.
So you have to take these things into consideration. And that's why right now in America, 90% of the millionaires in America became so through real estate investing.
Real estate.
So, and the other 10% that didn't become rich through real estate, 90% of them maintain their wealth through real estate. So it's almost like a no-brainer, to get in the game. So
even now, if you listen to the music, a lot of people like to listen to this new age music. A lot of rappers are getting into real estate. A lot of rappers are getting into real estate. I was listening to somebody, my son, that I never heard of him. I don't even know the guy's name. He was like, I just made $10 million off of real estate. I was like, damn, you flip houses too? It's it's the way of the world, man. It's the way of the world.
That's what's up, man.
Sure.
That's what's up. Well, man, listen, man. Again, I definitely appreciate you for doing this for me, bro. It's been a minute since I've seen you, so I definitely want to catch up with you, talk to you, go over some game, and just chop it up. So again, I appreciate it. Anything else you want to say to the people before we go, man? Any last words, man, you want to say to the people?
Listen, maybe you have a career, maybe you don't. Extra money never hurt nobody. That's all. And if you want to make the extra money without using any money, you're going to have to pay for the class. That you will, but it'll be the best money that you ever invested. Man, especially if you use this man as your mentor, I promise you won't regret it. It's life-changing.
Let me ask you about that before we go, because I did ask you about that. How was the experience of working with me, and was it helpful into what you did and everything?
Bro,
I want to get a little bit of flowers before we go.
Man, listen, it was like I stated before, man. I called this man out the blue all the time. I think I made $15 grand 2 weeks ago, and I just called him out the blue, and I was like, bro, thank you, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that he's in a different position that he was in when he first got out, but now, you know, he still answers the phone when I call. Even if he don't answer, he makes sure he calls me back. Anything I need, anything I call him for, I mean, he's there. Like, I mean, he changed my life for the better, and I mean, I can't thank you enough, bro.
I appreciate that.
For real, for sure.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. For sure.
Word. Well, listen, man, I ain't gonna hold him up no longer. We both hungry, about to go get something to eat. I ain't seen bro in 3 years, so we're gonna chop it up a little bit. Again, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Man, listen, y'all watching this, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be dropping videos like this every week. Just giving y'all free game, man. We all trying to get to the bag, and it's definitely big enough for all of us to get some of it.
Definitely.
All right, so again, I'm gone. Y'all be good. Peace.